Hi, I'm Hollie Grant and I am an advanced pre- and postnatal fitness specialist and founder of the Bump Plan. Now, in some of the previous videos that I've created for the C-section guide, I've talked to you about the fact that there's a lot that we can do in those first few weeks after having our cesarean to help with our postnatal recovery. We don't just want to sit still for 6 weeks and then all of a sudden jump back into our old exercise regimes. But what do we do when we are feeling ready to move on and start moving our bodies more and aim to get towards what we were doing pre-pregnancy? So after we feel like we've done our pelvic floor exercises, we've done some breath work, we've done some gentle stretching, and we're feeling like our scar is healing really well, what's the next step? Now, it's really important that we talk actually about what the official guidelines are for postnatal women. So what we're talking about here are the Chief Medical Officers, the UK Chief Medical Officers guidelines for physical activity for postnatal women. It's a big mouthful. So the guidelines are that ideally we should be aiming to build back up to 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity physical activity. And as part of that, there should be 2 strength-based workouts in amongst that. 150 minutes sounds a lot, but it can be broken down into much more manageable chunks. Even if it's a 10-minute walk or a 10-minute Pilates routine, it all adds up. And the key here is that every minute counts. So even if you can't hit that magic number of 150 minutes, we've got children, it's difficult. We might still be working. 150 minutes can feel quite overwhelming. Every minute that you get leading up to that really counts. When we say moderate intensity is physical activity that raises your heart rate but still allows you to have a conversation with somebody. So that might be walking, that might be jogging, that might be housework, it might be sex, it's whatever works for you. Physical activity is the key here. It doesn't have to be an exercise class. You don't have to go to the gym. It's physical activity. So everything counts if it's moderate intensity. The 2 strength-based sessions are because we want people to be functionally fit. We want them to be cardiovascular fit, so able to run for a bus, but we also want them to have a strong musculoskeletal system. We need to be able to carry our children, carry heavy bags, pick up dogs. I've got a dog that likes being picked up. So we do need to make sure that we're thinking about strength and cardiovascular fitness. Now that's what we're aiming to build up to. So remember, it doesn't need to be that for the first 6 weeks you just breathe and then at 6 weeks you go straight into 150 minutes. We do want to build up. Now, if you were active before you had your baby, we want to aim to get back to what we were doing before with a few modifications, bearing in mind the fact we've had a cesarean. If you weren't active before, start gradually. So really do build up with small chunks that are a lower intensity and then gradually build up. So that's what we're aiming for. Some things to think about is if you are starting to increase your activity levels, think about how your scar feels after the different types of activity. It should not be really sensitive after physical activity. So if you do a yoga class and afterwards your scar feels very sore, it might be that you're overdoing it and you want to rein it in a little bit. In the first few weeks, you'll know that you're overdoing it if your lochia, so your postnatal bleeding, suddenly gets much worse. But hopefully by the time that you feel ready to start doing physical activity in more depth, that lochia is in the past anyway. But really thinking about how you feel when you exercise. I've done a video all about how to manage pressure. So if you're working with a diastasis or a prolapse, I would definitely make sure you watch that so you know what to look out for when you start to increase your physical activity levels. And if you're ever in doubt or you're worried, do speak to a healthcare professional. But essentially, that's what we're aiming for. So listen to your body, and when you feel ready, you start to increase your physical activity levels, aiming to eventually get back to that 150 minutes or essentially what you were doing before you had your baby. So I hope you found that helpful. Good luck as you progress into more physical activity, and I really hope you found these videos helpful. Thank you. Bye everybody.